Thank you, Professor Wang, and it's my great pleasure to be here today. And he forgot to mention I'm also a student of Luohan School of Entrepreneurship. It's really great that we have so many distinguished professors and academics in this room, and I'm going to be talking about education. There are three things, or three main challenges, if you will, about education today, I think, around the world. Generally speaking, it's pretty costly, okay? Whether it's higher education or more of the fundamental elementary school type of education. And I think it's probably universally so that the efficacy and efficiency of education can be greatly improved anywhere you look. The standard deviation of the outcome of education throughout the system is pretty big. And there are pretty fundamental reasons behind that. The third, but not last, is accessibility is a big issue, especially in large countries like China. The quality of education that can be received in big cities like Beijing and Shanghai is so far ahead of those kids in the rural areas. And it's arguably not an easy problem to solve, but we are hoping that the gap can be reduced somehow through technology and innovation. So I want to put these three things in front of us first, and let me pause here and ask, why do you think that's the case? So what is the root cause? I would say that this has been the case for a long time. And there's only one root cause, which is the short supply of high-quality teachers. And at the end of the day, education so far, it's been a human-centered, quote-unquote, service industry. Okay, human teachers as the center of the solution. And ever since the beginning of the industrial era, we've seen school systems being built around the world to solve the mass production or education of the workforce kind of a problem. And it's a best effort system. You can't guarantee the outcome of every individual graduate, but by and large, you kind of see, okay, we have so many incoming students into the system every year, and several years down the road, we see them graduating. Let's hope most of them get what they need to be a sufficient citizen of the society. But I think as the society is moving forward and we have technologies empowering us, people's aspiration and expectation of the education industry is actually improving as well. So what is the solution to today's problem? I'm very glad to see Professor Spencer's 10 challenges and questions in front of us. One of them is specific to learning. The way I want to put forward today is actually back to the first principles. We see three things that are fundamental to the education challenges and problems that is not going to go away in the foreseeable future. The first is personalization. The fundamental reason behind that is pretty simple. Everyone is born uniquely gifted. We're just fundamentally different. We're made differently and we learn differently. Why should we go through the same kind of education program as everybody else? So that is not possible, in the hundreds of years before, but I think it's becoming more and more possible today with technology. The second is the pursuit of higher and higher efficacy and efficiency. Why? Because the time is limited. More so than ever before, people are spending more money to save time, like riding a bike on demand, getting a car on demand, and paying someone to get services for you. And on the other hand, they are spending money to, quote unquote, waste time on the things that they love, like travel and leisure. So if people are valuing more and more of their time, then there'll be a demand where they can and will be willing to pay more for a higher efficacy and efficiency, not only putting education, but also in other services like healthcare and the financial services. Last but not least, accessibility. As I mentioned, there's a huge divide and gap between the kind of education services they can get across different geolocations, and that means opportunities, right? In a lot of the cases in China especially, companies are looking, at the small cities, rural areas, for bigger unserved consumer needs. That would definitely include education. And the one reason myself and my co-founder chose education over other potential sort of startup ideas is because that is very rewarding. If you can help, millions, tens of millions, and even billions of people to achieve their full potential, that is a very satisfying thing. So in fact, the mission statement of my company is to empower everyone to achieve their full potential. And our stock ticker, LAIX, L-A-I-X, actually means life empowered by AI to reach infinite possibilities. So, the famous Confucius said, this is his sort of, perfect goal for a good education. That means, education should be available, should be offered to everybody, different classes, okay, everybody. But it will also be very desirable if everyone can receive the kind of education that is tailored personally to him or her. Okay? So the first part speaks to scalability, right? It's or in the other term, inclusion. We want to cover it for all the members of society. But the second part is talking more about personalization. It's really, we want to provide, if possible, a personalized learning experience to you. How do we combine them both? It's actually not easy. For most of the products in today's society, it's either mass-produced, so it's cheap, affordable, but it's not necessarily personalized, or it's quite expensive to get, but it's personalized. The only thing I would argue that can combine the sort of best of the two worlds is through education, like the smartphone you have in your palm. When it's produced in the factories, it's mass production. Everyone looks the same. But once it's getting to the user's hands, once it's loaded with your personalized data, you can't mistake your phone with somebody else's. You can tell in 1 second, okay, it's not my phone because I don't see my personal data in it. So imagine with this same kind of technology-empowered productization method into education, that opens up the entire new world. But why now, right? It sounds great, but how can we achieve it now? Back in 2012, when my co-founders and I were talking about the startup ideas, we realized 3 technological trends are happening, emerging together. The first is mobile. The second, back then nobody's talking about AI. We use the technical term deep learning. But then with the help of AlphaGo, now everyone talks about AI. The third is really big data and cloud. All 3 of these combined, we see a tremendous opportunity of transforming user experience in just about every aspect in society, including education. With that, so we digitized, we came up with the idea of digitizing the entire learning experience. We started from English, which is a big industry, especially speaking is a pain in the neck for most Chinese English speakers. We thought it's a good place to start. In fact, back in the May sort of Labor Day weekend in 2012, there was a very famous karaoke app called Changba, got instantly popular. People all singing to their phones. We thought, okay, that's a pretty interesting idea. Why can't we practice spoken English? Oh, by the way, the founder of Changba is also a student of the Wuhan School of Entrepreneurship. Then we built a full stack of AI technologies. From the very bottom, speech recognition, speech assessment, natural language processing, error detection and feedback, and at the top of that is a generic machine learning engine, which we call adaptive learning engine. It takes students' learning data as input and it dynamically computes and constructs personalized learning path from a vast item banks of content to produce the personalized curriculum for each and every student. So with that, we launched our product. It started as a very simple practice tool for practice your spoken English with instant feedback. And as you can see on the screen, it has, we continuously to build on more and more learning activities on your smartphone to cover just about every aspect of language learning. And here, we can take a look at the short video about the technology.
和1亿1000万乘客共同踏上极致高效的语言学习之旅，准备好了吗？让我们跟随一段语音，即刻出发。
I want to learn English to a better future.
第一站，语音识别。刘丽说构建了基于深度神经网络的声学模型，从原始音频中准确截取有效发音片段，提取语音特征，判断对应的音素，然后通过语言模型合成为文本，开启用户与人工智能的语言连接。第二站，发音评测，基于英语母语者语音建立的评测模型。将语音与文本中的音素一一匹配，同时对音素、单词和句子进行多层面、多维度的细致评估，实时提供针对性反馈，帮助用户改善发音。语音识别后的文本来到了我们的第三站，语法纠错。刘丽说，语法纠错系统使用了机器翻译和循环神经网络等方法，能够主动学习语言特征。检测多达50余种语法错误，帮助用户找到语法问题，精准纠错。第四章，语义分析。在这里，刘丽说的语义分析模型能够准确理解单词在具体语境中的含义，寻找当下语境中最合适的词汇，为用户推荐更地道的英语表达。4大核心功能实现了语言表达的全面评估，帮助用户高效提升英语能力，开启更大的世界，赋能每个人实现最大潜能。我们相信，刘丽说人工智能音速列车将搭载着越来越多的人，飞速开向教育的未来。
With that technical foundation, we actually launched our AI English teacher, probably the first in the world, in July 2016. And last year we invited researchers from British Council and the University of Bedfordshire from the UK to do an independent research study. On the right, you can see to improve one sort of proficiency level in the so-called Common European Framework Reference takes about 90 to 480 hours with the sort of traditional teacher-led method. And our AI English teacher were able to help over 40% of the over 700 students in the test group to get over one level of improvement with only 36.8 hours of study. And obviously, we can offer this kind of service for much lower price. Right now, the monthly subscription only costs about $15. And bear in mind, the traditional English training services in China, they range anywhere between 10,000 to 50,000 RMB a year. So it's more than one order of magnitude reduction. And at the end of this March, we have over 120 million registered users. And we have not only covered a wide sort of consumer user base, but we have helped over 400 enterprises, both multinational and China local companies, to help train their employees with this much efficient approach. And we've also helped some great events, big events with massive sort of volunteer base to train their, improve their English proficiency in a distributed fashion. And I wanted to emphasize this because our mission is to empower everyone to achieve their full potential. And we realize that not everyone will be able to become our paying customers in the foreseeable future. So we started our social responsibility program in June of 2016. We started from a Tibetan orphanage school in the Qinghai Highlands, over 4,000 elevation. And they don't have any dedicated English teacher. Their only full-time English teacher was a volunteer from Guangzhou. And she left in 1 year, and there was somebody else substituting her. And there we helped, we provided our program, and some other company provided smartphones. And after 1 year of using our program for 2 sessions per week, the students actually got improved in their high school entrance exam by almost 20 points mark in a 100-point scale. So very significant gain. And so at the end of last year, we've helped over 12,000 students and over 23 rural teachers improve their English proficiency. So very quickly, I'm going to talk about how this all come together to transform the industry norm and the business models. We see 3 trends happening together with the enabling of technology, from analog to digital. Learning is increasingly more and more digital, and from teacher-centric model to a student-centric model. And last but not least, from a process-driven business or pricing model to a more and more increasingly outcome-based pricing model. That is very fundamental because in 2 huge industries, education and healthcare, today people are paying mostly for the process, okay, for measured by time and something else, but not the outcome, for a lack of accountability, if you will, offered by the service providers. But that's going to change because we can now completely monitor and collect all the data throughout the process, and we can build predictive models for their outcome. I think that's a very exciting future. Lastly, but not least, in Chinese, education is consisted of 2 characters, 教 and 育. 教 mostly means teach. It has more to do with knowledge and skills. And 育 means cultivate. You cultivate virtue and characters of the student. And I actually agree with Professor Spencer that I don't think AI or technology per se will eliminate, let's say, teachers' role in the education system. In fact, I think that's going to empower them to focus more on the irreplaceable role of being a good teacher, meaning you cultivate students' spirit, their desire to learn, their creativity, and their virtues. And I think that's a very exciting future. I'm very glad to be part of it, and I look forward to the follow-up discussions with all of you. Thank you.